Florida, sunshine, beaches, theme parks. That is what most people think of. But beneath the palm trees and tourist attractions lies a darker story of forgotten places. Towns that thrived, then died. Places where nature has reclaimed what humans built. If you think you know Florida, think again. Today we are counting down 10 ghost towns scattered across the Sunshine State that tell a very different story. Stick around till the end, because number one involves a community that literally floats above the water, and its story is stranger than fiction. And hey, if you are enjoying this journey into Florida's forgotten past, hit that subscribe button. Deep in Citrus County's wilderness, Orleans was settled in 1885 with a population around 100. Small, quiet, hopeful. The Great Freezes from 1894 to 1895 wiped out the crops the community depended on. That was not the only killer. Influenza swept through small Florida towns in those days. No medicine, no doctors nearby, just death. The town cemetery remains. Weathered stones, names barely visible. Scattered throughout the woods, you can still find Hurdy cups, metal containers once nailed to pine trees to collect resin for turpentine. Evidence of an industry that kept people alive until it could not anymore. The post office closed down around 1898, and the town soon after was abandoned. Today, if you know where to look in the forest, you will find those cup fragments, rusted metal, silent witnesses. The wilderness has swallowed almost everything else. Just west of the Florida Turnpike sits Fort Drum. It began as a fort during the Second Seminole War. After the Civil War ended, the town was settled by people looking for jobs in the cattle business. It is in Okeechobee County, in what feels like the middle of nowhere. For a while it worked. Picture rough men driving cattle across scrubland, a frontier town carved from wild Florida, the kind of place where survival was not guaranteed. Today, all that remains is a cemetery where many early residents are buried, and the original Fort Drum schoolhouse, now an antiques and collectibles shop. You can visit both if you are driving through Central Florida. The cemetery sits quiet under Spanish moss. The schoolhouse sells memories of other people's pasts. That is all Fort Drum is now, a memory. Kerr City was first documented in 1835 by government surveyor Robert Kerr, who named it Lake Kerr. Founded in 1884, the town had a hotel, a general store, a drugstore, a school, a church, and a post office. It was a stagecoach stop. The population reached 100 at one time. Deep in what is now Ocala National Forest, this town had potential. Then came the Great Freezes. The freezes of 1894 and 1895 killed all the citrus, and most people moved out. But Kerr City's end gets darker. At one point, the town preacher and his followers believed the hotel was evil, and they burned it down in 1907. Religious fervor, fear, and flames lit up the forest night. In 1995, 41 acres were listed on the National Register of Historic Places. The town is owned by Arthur Brennan, who inherited it and has since closed it to the public. Original homes from the 19th century stand locked behind private gates, preserved but unreachable. Number 7, Tasmania. The town of Tasmania was founded in 1916 when the former community of Fish Eating Creek changed its name. Why Tasmania? Nobody really knows. There were 2 schools and a trading post in town where settlers often traded turpentine, cattle, and moonshine. That tells you everything about frontier Florida. Legal commerce mixed with illegal spirits. People doing whatever it took to survive. Then the Great Depression hit. Families moved away, schools and the post office closed. You can still drive by and see the Lucky Island schoolhouse, now a barn in the middle of a cow pasture. But it is on private property. You can look, you cannot touch. The schoolhouse where children once learned their letters, now shelters livestock. Number 6, Venus. Venus, Florida was established in the mid-1800s at the intersection of old military trails. 2 army roads crossed there, and it sat in Highlands County, a perfect spot for a settlement. The town thrived on cattle driving, agriculture, and turpentine production, reaching its peak in the 1920s. Picture cowboys, farmers, and turpentine workers harvesting pine resin. Venus boasted a general store, a school, and a church serving the local community. For a while, Venus looked like it might last. Then fire came. A devastating fire and the Great Depression led to Venus's decline. Residents dispersed to surrounding ranches and farms, abandoning the town center. You will find few remnants today. Weathered building ruins and settlers' cemetery remain as the last physical connections to this once thriving community. The cemetery was officially established in 1887 and contains over 350 graves of Venus's founding families, names carved in stone, the only proof they existed at all. Number 5. Oreo. Oreo was located in Hernando County in the late 1800s. Today the site is part of Withlacoochee State Forest. The first post office was established in 1884 by J.A. Clarkson, Jr. The town was small, with only around 100 people. During the Great Freezes from 1894 to 1895, many of the crops that these small towns depended on were wiped out. Oreo also faced another enemy, influenza, which may have had a large impact on the survival of the town and helps explain why so many died young in those days. Disease swept through small communities like wildfire. Around 1898, the post office closed and the town was soon abandoned. Today, the site is part of the Withlacoochee State Forest. A cemetery hidden in the woods and scattered foundations remain. Some reminders of the past can still be seen throughout the area. If you know where to walk, you will find them. If you're enjoying this trip through Florida's forgotten history, go ahead and hit that like button. It helps us bring you more stories like this. This one is different. Most ghost towns sit in remote forests or swamps, not Yukon. Yukon is located in what is now Tilly K. Fowler Regional Park, right next to Naval Air Station, Jacksonville. The community was established in the 1800s. For decades, Yukon existed. Families lived there. Children played in the streets. Then the Navy looked up from their runways and realized there was a problem. In 1963, the Navy declared it a flight and safety hazard, and the town was closed. Imagine being told your entire town has to go, not because it failed, not because people left, because you are in the way of military aircraft. Some of the old buildings remain, while a few are still in use, like the Yukon Baptist Church. Others have been abandoned. You can visit Yukon today. Walk past buildings where families once lived. Yukon just goes to show that even in the middle of a bustling city, there could be a ghost town just around the corner. Fort Dade is located on Egmont Key, only accessible by boat at the mouth of Tampa Bay. Built in the late 1800s to defend the coast from possible Spanish-American invasions, it once had homes, a hospital, and even a theater. During the Spanish-American War, about 300 people lived on the key to support the fort. At one point, the fort and town had more than 600 people, but once the fighting stopped, so did the need for a fortress. The military packed up and left. No war, no soldiers, no reason for the town. Although the lighthouse is still in operation, the rest of the town is in ruins, with deteriorating brick roads and staircases that lead to old military batteries. Today, nature has reclaimed much of Fort Dade, but visitors can still explore the eerie remnants, including abandoned barracks and a historic lighthouse. You need a ferry to get there. Visitors can buy tickets to the Egmont Key Ferry through Hubbard's Marina. The isolation adds to the atmosphere. Miles of open water, then an island of ruins, Florida's creepiest ghost town, according to some. Rollstown was established in 1767 by Englishmen Denai Rolls before the American Revolution. That is how old this town is. Hoping to start a farm, Rolls brought indentured servants with him from London, but none of them knew anything about farming, so the plantation failed. Picture it, Englishmen fresh from London, Florida wilderness, swamps, alligators, heat. None of them knew how to grow crops, and the whole venture was doomed from the start. After that failure, Rawlins changed tactics and brought in slaves to work the crops and raise cattle. For years, the plantation limped along, but history had other plans. The plantation was eventually abandoned in 1783 after the British gave Florida back to Spain. Rolls returned to England, and the slaves who worked the land migrated to the Bahamas. Today, Town is nestled within the lush landscapes of Putnam County, and it serves as an archaeological wonder where history enthusiasts can explore its colonial roots. Hidden beneath layers of time, it is one of Florida's oldest ghost towns, a place where empires rose and fell. Number 1. Stiltsville. Here it is, the strangest ghost town in Florida, maybe in America. Stiltsville is a group of wood stilt houses located 1 mile south of Cape Florida, on sandbanks in Biscayne Bay. The structures stand on wood or reinforced concrete pilings, generally 10 feet above the shallow water. Houses, built on stilts, in the middle of the bay. Most sources claim the first stilt shack was built in the early 1930s. Crawfish Eddie Walker built a shack on stilts above the water in 1933, toward the end of the Prohibition era, allegedly to facilitate gambling, which was legal at 1 mile offshore. Eddie sold bait and beer from his shack and was known for a dish called chilo, a crawfish chowder. That is how Stiltsville started. One man, one shack, gambling and beer just beyond the law's reach. Then others followed. Thomas Grady and Leo Edward, two of Eddie's fishing buddies, built their own shack in 1937. More houses appeared. At one point, there were as many as 27 stilt homes, a floating community. Weekend getaways for Miami's wealthy, politicians, judges, people who wanted privacy. The wildest was the Bikini Club. In 1962, businessman Harry Churchville grounded a 150-foot yacht named Jeff in the mudflats and turned it into a social club. Alcoholic beverages were offered for sale, with free drinks to women wearing bikinis. There was a sun deck for nude sunbathing, and staterooms could be rented for any purpose. Any purpose. You can imagine what that meant. The Bikini Club was raided by the Florida Beverage Commission in summer 1965 and closed down for selling liquor without a license. Then nature stepped in. On September 8, 1965, Hurricane Betsy destroyed most of Stiltsville and severely damaged the boats upon which the Bikini Club was based. In 1966, what remained of the Bikini Club burned to the waterline. Beginning in August 1965, the state of Florida required building owners to pay $100 annually to lease their quarter-acre circular campsites. No permits for new construction were issued, and structures that sustained more than 50% damage could not be rebuilt. Stiltsville's wild days ended. In 1980, Congress expanded Biscayne National Park boundaries, bringing Stiltsville within the park. After Hurricane Andrew struck in 1992, only 7 buildings survived, 7 houses, standing on stilts, miles from shore. On January 11, 2021, the Lee Shaw House caught on fire. Now only 6 remain. In 2003, a nonprofit called the Stiltsville Trust was established. The surviving houses cannot be lived in full-time. They cannot be sold. They exist in limbo. The remaining homes are managed and maintained by original families under the Stiltsville Trust. Today you can take a boat tour and circle these strange structures. The colorful homes are built on nothing more than stilts and stand tall out of the shallow water. Behind them, the Miami skyline rises like a mirage. Modern towers, ancient houses on stilts, past and present frozen in the same view. Stiltsville refuses to die completely. It floats there, above the water, neither fully abandoned nor truly alive. A ghost town that waves never quite swallow. The strangest ending to Florida's strangest places. That is our journey through 10 ghost towns most people do not know exist. From the forests of Citrus County to houses floating in Biscayne Bay, this is Florida's hidden history. If this opened your eyes to a different side of the Sunshine State, please hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. Which ghost town surprised you most? Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.